The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. Any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk.
Hello, and welcome to That's What We Said, a podcast where we offer our insight and perspective on a variety of topics that touch our lives and probably yours on a daily basis. I'm Miley, and with me is
Porvy.
And this is episode 2. All right. So today on episode 2, our topic is chivalry.
Yep.
Is it dead?
Or dying.
Or dying.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I do every week, let's start off with Porvy. What do you think? What's your opinion on the topic of chivalry?
I kind of thought about this, and I was talking to a few friends of mine, and it led me to think, okay, well, women are much stronger. We're leaders. We want equal rights. We want, everything men have, just women power. However, are we still depending, and should we still be depending on chivalry? Right. Because is it dying? And I think it's really confusing for men too, because they're like, oh, you're all about, women's rights and this and that. Do you want to pay for this check as well when we go on dinner? Or is that going to upset you if I pay for you? Or is that going to upset you if I open the door because I know you can do it? But some women tend to get really offended by things like that.
And men are getting scared now.
Right. They don't do it anymore.
Right.
So for the women that still want that, we're kind of struggling because we're like, okay, well, yeah, we are all about women's rights and equality and, fair pay. But then men are gonna be like, well, then you can split the dinner too.
Right.
How do we?
Well, see, and this is my thought on this. Mm-hmm. If chivalry is dead, the main definition of chivalry is, what was it? Politeness, honor, gentlemanly
tasks,
behavior towards a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, why does it have to be behavior towards a woman? Why can't we just behave this way towards each other?
Mm-hmm.
Because why can't we as women expect our men to pay for dinner? So why can't we expect both genders
mm-hmm.
to treat each other
mm-hmm.
with this kind of politeness, courtesy, doing things for each other, I like when my man will open the car door for
mm-hmm.
me. I think it's great. But at the same time, why can't I know it's probably weird for me to open the car door
mm-hmm.
for my man.
Well,
but why can't we just...
Because I think women, I think women show it in a different way. Right? Okay. We cook for our man. We're more sensitive towards our man. We do a lot for a guy. But I think the whole courting and the kindness comes at paying a check for a woman, because because the woman can't do it. Yeah. It's more like, hey, I like you. I want to take you out. You're a high priority for me.
Right.
You're on my top list kind of thing. But I think women sometimes, not all women, but I think sometimes women take it like, oh, what, you don't think I can afford this food? Or, there's such a thin line between women's rights and, a guy being chivalrous.
Right. But, and see, my feeling is, as a woman and as a mother of 2 girls, right, that are
mm-hmm.
come of age, and a son, I don't want them to think in those terms. I don't want them to think, oh, wait, he's gonna pay for me? Like, what, he thinks I can't afford this? I don't think that way.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is, look, if a guy or a girl,
mm-hmm.
right? If my friend asks me, let's go to lunch, or a guy asks me out, then I kind of expect, I'm not going to expect that he's going to pay, but it would be nice if he goes, oh, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, if I invited someone to lunch, I will say, okay, I got this. I wanted to take it, and I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody. So I want my daughters to learn that it could go both ways. I don't want them to grow up like princesses, right? I don't want them to think, oh yeah, you need to treat me this way. But I also want them to expect like courtesy, kindness, gentlemanliness from a man, or even just kindness from their fellow women. And then same thing for my son. I want to teach him to be, you know, not necessarily chivalrous, but treat your woman, you know, with respect, with kindness, and don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is
I get it.
It is a fine line, like you said.
It's very fine line. And the reason I kind of started thinking about this is because I went to dinner with a friend of mine, and we are just talking about, you know, relationships and things like that. And he actually brought it up. He was like, you know, I went on a date with this girl, and the whole time she was talking about women's rights and how it's unfair, and, you know, like how we're not paid equally, and just, you know, just complete
Just going off.
So he was just kind of like, okay, I get it. And then at the end of the dinner, he was like, do you want to split this check? And she got pissed. And so he's like, well, I'm confused because our whole dinner you've been talking about women's rights, and I didn't want to upset you by paying for your dinner or not even giving you a chance to
That was
pay.
the whole thing about men now being confused.
Exactly. So she's like, well, I think it's just rude. It's just common courtesy that a guy pays. But here she is, like, confusing the guy because he's like, well, she's all about women's rights. Am I supposed to offer or... You know,
who
what do I
invited
do?
who to dinner? Did they just?
Well,
go
guys,
to
it was online dating, so it becomes,
okay.
you know, it becomes, and generally a guy asks a girl out, right? And even I think, and that's a good question, like even if the girl asks the guy out, is she supposed to pay? Is that where we're leading our world now?
For me, I see, and I don't see it in that way. Like, you know how you say, okay, if the girl asks the guy, is she expected to pay? Is that where we're leading our world? To me, I feel like it's not necessarily... I feel like chivalry, I can't even say it, chivalry is not even a question there. I just feel like just common courtesy. And maybe I'm maybe going off the topic here, but I just feel like just be courteous. Like if you invited someone to dinner, you should pay, right?
Right.
That's how I feel. And then it's not that... Because I feel bad. Like, if I invited someone to dinner, like if I was single and invited a guy, like, hey, do you want to go to dinner? And he'd be like, okay, I'm not going to sit there. When the check comes, I'm not just going to sit there looking pretty and waiting for him.
But a lot of girls do that.
But see, I don't want to teach...
Well, I know you don't want to teach your daughters that, but a lot of people do that.
Different, like a different kind of...
Yeah, and I wonder if it's different with millennials, because with my generation and your generation, with our generation, we're used to that kind of behavior. We're used to the guy paying, opening a door, sending flowers, you know, doing everything that he can to court us, you know. Yeah. But I wonder with millennials, is it going to die? Is there an expectation?
It shouldn't.
And it should come down from your family, right? And you know, the other thing was, like, I talked to a lot of my guy friends, and they're like, a woman, never, like, she just goes to the bathroom, or she doesn't offer, she checks her phone. So it's kind of, you know, obvious that the guy's going to have to pay. But I always, ever since I've known, have offered at least, saying, hey, do you want to split this? Or, you know, I've always, even though I know he probably won't let me. And some guys are like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, all right. Or is this a common question? We'll split it.
Mental
We're like, friend zone you right now. No, it's kidding.
Never going to ask you out of it.
But I'm just joking. But like, I always offer, but there are a lot of people that don't. And then also I think there's a role reversal now too, where like, you know, the guy sometimes walks away to the bathroom too, and then the girl
come back.
he doesn't pay, and he's like, oh, did you pay for the check? And that's why I'm wondering if like millennials are actually gonna lose all this like politeness and this courting.
Right. See, and here's my take. And let me rewind a little bit. So our question of today is chivalry dead? For me,
dying,
in the end, is it dying? Let it die as it's commonly known, right?
Right.
Like men treating a woman like
the old
princess,
ways,
right? Let chivalry die the way we see chivalry. Maybe it's our age, whatever. But then let's make sure we foster this feeling of, you know, just courtesy, like treating each other with kindness, treating each other like it'll go both ways. Like, why, if we expect a man to treat us like queens or princesses, why don't we also in turn, when it's appropriate, let's treat them like kings and princes? You know what I mean? I get the whole thing about, women's rights, we're this, we're equal. So why can't we hold ourselves up to that same expectation? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the whole thing
That's
was
how
about.
I feel.
Yeah, and I think initially in our old generations, the whole thing was about courting and respect and showing a girl that, hey, you're the only one I want. You're on the top of my list, and then working for it, right? And also in the old days, like, women didn't make money; they were dependent on men, and they were, there was, that respect too.
Those were the old days.
Those were the old days. Now, I do understand that, we are becoming equal as women. We are making, money now. We are working. Yeah. We're no longer home wives or, we just have our own thing now. But I still think that there has to be a courting of sorts.
I agree with that too. I agree that there's still the courting because you got to kind of woo your way.
We're still animals, yeah.
Right. But I really think it's still both ways.
It is. But I think right now what we're going through is a transition,
right?
And it's transitioning from how we used to have men doing all this for us, and now they're confused. They're at the confusion state, and they're either stop or.
So 2 questions. The first question is, do you think men are now using this whole women's rights kind of thing, like women's equality? You think they're using this as an excuse to not be...
I think depending on their conversations with the date, they probably might. Yeah.
That's so bad.
Yeah. They might use it like, hey, you spent the whole time talking about women's rights. I'm going to have to split this check. Or why don't you take care of it?
That's the person, though, right?
Exactly. It depends on... Right.
So my next question then is, Porby, what are you going to do? How are you going to contribute to... I mean, I know it's not just one person. You're not going to fix the problem with chivalry dying. What do you think you can do to contribute to making things better?
So I don't even know if it's about...
confusion.
Lessen the confusion. So I've always, like I said, offered to pay half the check, right? Because that's just... I don't like people paying for me, unless it's you.
I was going to say that.
But I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a transition. And I think women are going to have to figure out whether or not... Because I do feel like a lot of the women's rights have to do with workplace. Not just social life, right? And I think some of the confused women who are all about it are bringing it into their love life when it should just stay at a not just... I mean, personally, you can't have your husband treat you like crap either, or your boyfriend treat you like crap, right? So there is that there. But I think like a lot of it, like about equal rights, has to do with voting and money and work related positions, like being a president of the company, equal roles. But I think we're just gonna have to probably wait it out and see. I think the women who want men to still court them should make it known that they want to be courted and not be so hard ass about, I'm all about women's rights. I don't need you paying for me.
Exactly.
Because that's what's gonna happen. And then you can't bitch about it later about like, I can't believe this guy didn't pay for me because you put him in that position.
That's my biggest pet peeve. I hate that.
Yeah.
So and then what about the guy that wants to be courted?
Well, here's the thing. Well, guys, I think in the old days were courting you because they felt like if I pay for you, I'm going to get in your pants. Right?
That's just crazy.
That's how it used to be, or probably is still.
I don't
But
argue
I think
that.
today's women are like, you can pay for me, you can court me, but you ain't getting in my pants.
Right.
So I think women are chivalrous on another level. So once you're courted, and you become, in a relationship, we really take care of our guys, right?
Do we?
I think so. I think we do. We put up with a lot of stuff, right? Uh-huh. We've taken, we cook and we clean for, and we I don't know, dress nice for them.
I don't cook.
Girl, then I don't know. Then you tell me. What are you thinking?
No, I agree.
How are you taking care of your mans?
I think, everything you said, I agree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So especially the point where you're saying that once we're past the courting stage and you're now in a relationship, I mean, at least I feel like, I mean, I've only been with just the one man's, right, for all these years. But I feel like we're equally contributing, right? I mean, except for cooking. Like, I don't cook. And that's a good thing that I don't cook. But I do feel like we contribute equally to household expenses and, you know, taking care of the kids. And when we go out, there's equal times that either I pay or he pays. When it's our birthdays, though, it's kind of like, okay, well, I usually pay for him and he pays for me if it's my birthday. And we don't even talk about it anymore because it's almost like this expectation that, okay, well, whenever we go out, either one of us will pay. We just kind of grab the check and we never even say, it's never to the point where we say, I paid, or you make as much money as I do, you know. So it's kind of, it's known for us. And I do feel like I give my share of being courteous. I don't know if I'm chivalrous to my husband because we
are. You respect
past
them
that.
differently. Yeah. I think for women, like, I think on the first couple dates, maybe even the first date, the guy pays, but then generally women say, hey, I'll get you a drink, let's go get a drink.
Oh,
or
yeah.
They do pitch in.
It's I guess what I was trying to get at, it's the whole kind of mental, it's not like you're counting, right? But mentally you're saying, okay, well, you know what? Like, if you go to dinner, you say the guy pays. And then sometimes you'll go somewhere else after.
Yeah.
And then the girl will say, I
"Get a
got
drink."
your drink.
Yeah.
Or the next time you go out,
The girl
it's
will
this
pay or
healthy,
split
"Oh,
or
you-
whatnot."
Let me
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost kind of unspoken. So I think there's enough people out there that do that I think you know, we're going to be safe. We're not going to all go down to hell. But I think there's also a lot of people, like you said, some girls who are like all about rights and I'm a strong woman and ooh, here comes the check, you gonna pay? You know, I think
And
that's
I wonder
crazy.
if that's just
That
a
drives
small
me
amount.
crazy.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's just a small amount of women. Because if you think about it, like if you go to southern states, the southern hospitality is amazing. And I think when people go there, like, oh, those people are so nice. So we
Really?
still want that. I think we
need to
still
go
want
there.
that.
I
You
need
need
to
to
go
go there.
there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are we gonna do then?
I
What are we
think
gonna do?
you know what I would do? I would continue to raise our children with being chivalrous, being what? We're having chivalry.
Yeah. No.
And you know, if
'Cause I'm gonna say-
if it's one girl that's all about power, then that girl gets to pay her own damn check.
Right.
But you can't do that to all the women, and vice versa.
Right. No, the reason why I reacted that way is because I'm like the opposite. I was going to teach my children just throw chivalry out the window. But I think when I think about chivalry, we're probably thinking about chivalry in different ways. So I'm thinking chivalry, the old-fashioned definition of the man treating the woman as princesses. I think when you're talking about chivalry, you just kind of really mean the respect and courtesy, and is that
I
what you
still
meant?
mean open the door. I still
Yeah.
mean bring flowers.
Exactly.
I still mean
So
those
to
things.
me, my definition. So we agree on that
Yeah.
sense. But for me, I'm just thinking of the old-fashioned term chivalry, and I'm just like throw that shit out the door, and then I'm gonna teach my kids, like Sammy, Sage, my two girls. Expect this out of your mans, but also treat your mans.
Reciprocate.
Reciprocate. Treat them to something. Also, my son, Sebastian, I want you to open the girls' doors.
Yeah.
I want you to buy her flowers. I want you to be nice. But also, let her treat you if you want. But and then also at the same time, don't expect, if you're dating a girl who is really like gung-ho, I'm strong, independent woman, treat her sometimes, you know, to things. Because even the most independent of women, poor V, want to be treated nicely. So I think that's what we have to do. We have to teach the next generation to
Different
be
expectations.
respectful.
And you always
Be
have to teach
gentlemen.
them to be respectful. Always.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, well,
So here's the thing. So when we teach them how to be respectful, then naturally this whole quote unquote chivalry will come into place. And like, I don't want to call it chivalry.
it'll
but
be a different definition of chivalry.
Yeah.
The
Let's
millennials
just
and the
redefine-
kids after that, and the kids after that. I think it's gonna be a full on circle. We're
Let's
gonna
call it
lose
chivalry.
Chivalry. It'll be a full on circle. You know how like fashion goes out and then comes back.
Yeah, like Bell
It'll be
Bottoms.
like that. Like I think, yeah, exactly. I'm expecting those to come back very
Ooh, hell
shortly.
no, I'm not gonna get on that crazy.
But I think it'll probably die for a little bit and then it'll pick back up eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'll just be a different definition of it.
Let's do it then.
So yeah, I think just be respectful, continue doing what we're doing, and at the end of the day,
And just be mindful.
I think so.
Be mindful.
Yeah, don't be so. And I do want to tell the women out there, don't be
Don't
so
be an
aggressive.
asshole.
Yeah, don't be like, oh, I'm a leader and I can pay for this and
Don't
you're
be a
this.
jerk.
Yeah, a man wants to feel a man no matter what he is.
Say that again. A man wants to feel a man?
Yeah, no matter what, no matter how powerful you are, a guy
man
still
wants to
needs.
feel a man.
A guy still has that. He needs
What
to feel
podcast
secure.
is this? Anyway, on that note, we could end this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of That's What We Said.
And if you have anything that you want to add or any questions, please visit our site.
Yes, and you can email us at that'swhatshe_said_pm@gmail.com. I know it's a really long email, but we'll try to figure it out, guys. And information will be in our show notes. Like Porby said, give us any suggestions of questions, topics, or any of your opinions on the idea of chivalry.
Yeah.
And we will revisit the topic.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Is it chivalry or chivalry?
It's not chivalry. Chivalry.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's
Chivalry.
No,
you
you
keep
said
saying
chivalry.
chivalry.
you said chivalry. I said
chivalry.
Girl, you said chivalry.
No, I said chivalry.
Chivalry.
I'm like, there's
Repeat
an L
after
in
me.
it. Chival. And you said chivalry. I'm like, there's an L
I did
in
not
it.
say chivalry.
Chivalry.
It's recorded. Let's
Chivalry.
listen.